Italy has always played an important role in vampire stories, sometimes serving as a luxurious residence for the most powerful races with leadership roles within vampire hierarchies. Other times, it becomes an ideal hunting ground for grotesque creatures like the Nosferatu, the less human among various species. This time, Venice takes center stage in Vampire The Masquerade Justice, the first VR chapter in a saga that has its roots in the 90s, but only in terms of video games works that are part of this epic series. The Vampire The Masquerade brand didn't start as a video game, but as a tabletop role-playing game that brought generations together, inspired live events, and gave birth to the universe of the so-called World of Darkness, where humans and vampires coexist on the same streets. While humans go about their activities during the day, it's at nightfall when vampires awake from their slumber and take control of the city, settling blood feuds among families and feeding on poor victims who linger in the dark streets. If you don't believe in vampire story, you better change your mind, because this is the review of Vampire The Masquerade Justice, developed by Fast Travel Games and set to release in November 2, 2023, a day when you will become a part of a vampire family.
You know me already. I'm Justice.
To fully understand the story of Vampire The Masquerade Justice, you need to know the background of the saga, at least in terms of video game. It starts in the Middle Age and spans various chapters, including Redemption 1 and 2, leading up to modern times with Bloodlines, along with the numerous parallel chapters linked to the main one. In most chapters, you play as a newborn, a human who, for different reasons, depending on the story of the chapter, is gifted with the immortality and awakens in the undead world of the vampires. The protagonist's story varies in each chapter. Sometimes you need to uncover the identity of your master, the one who made you immortal, to find him and seek vengeance. Other times, you may be hired by a specific clan to carry out various tasks, all within a highly intricate, branching story with the multiple choices, plot twists, and the ability to play multiple sides, working with different families. However, there is an essential aspect in the story of Vampire The Masquerade that goes beyond individual characters' stories, which is the plot that has created the so-called World of Darkness. All vampires' families, from the noblest and most prestigious to the most grotesque and ruthless, must obey to the rule of the Camarilla. This is a secret sect of vampire created in 1480 to counter the uprising of anarchic vampire groups, as well as the persecution of the vampire by the Inquisition. Despite the vampires always being more powerful creatures than those pitiful humans, these rats, numerous humans, have continuously oppressed us, pushing us into the darkness, forcing us to hide. And so, we decided to establish a code of conduct to prevent our extermination. This code was the Masquerade, which required vampires to convince humans over the centuries of the non-existence of the vampires, remaining hidden in the shadows, acquiring more and more power, and in the same time controlling and manipulating society from behind the scenes of an invisible vampire society. For centuries, the plan proceeds, and humans now consider vampires extinct, turning them into mere legends. Until 1998, where the Sabbat, a group of clans rebelling the Camarilla and founded in 1493, opposes the Masquerade. The Sabbat includes traitorous clans like the Bruja, the Malkavian, the Nosferatu, the Toreador, the Tremere, and Ventur. Other clans joined the Sabbath, but then destroyed or absorbed by the Camarilla, based on whether they wanted to adhere to the Masquerade or not. Today, humans discover that the legends about vampires were, in fact, real events that marked the bloody history of humans for centuries. And so we come to Vampire The Masquerade Justice, in which you play as a powerful vampire named Justice, with the task of tracking down and punish the traitor who eliminated your master and stole a sacred vampire relic. Justice, after seeking help from the Camarilla for his investigation, receiving no answer, decide to embark on solo journey to uncover more than he initially was looking for.
That if I wanted justice, I should go to Venice.
I already delved too deep in the story, but in this case it was necessary. Vampire The Masquerade Justice could be played without knowing the underlying plot, but it might seem a story full of plot holes and many loose ends, when, in fact, everything referred to from the very beginning has been explained in detail over the decades and in numerous main and secondary chapters. Now, let's move on to the technical aspect of this game. If I had to explain briefly, I'd say that the Vampire Masquerade Justice, it's a combination of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners meeting Dishonored. But let me explain. As in Saints and Sinners, you'll periodically return to your hideout, a desecrated and decaying church from which you can access various districts of Venice through different doors. Inside your hideout, there's a room for collecting numerous collectibles and documents that provide more details about Justice's story and these chapters, as well as a baptismal altar, but there's no holy water. It's blood drawn from your own hands, used to perform the Inner Sanctum ritual, a place in your mind where you can unlock and enhance your skills categorized in the skill trees. The game isn't designed to let you unlock all abilities, so you'll need to wisely choose which one to unlock to better suit your playstyle. Do you want to be unbeatable in combat, or do you prefer to stay hidden in the dark? Do you want to dominate your enemies with the power of your mind, or do you want to charm them with your persuasive skills? These are just some of the ways you can proceed in your investigations and interact with the enemies and other characters you will encounter in game. Additionally, the various districts are revisitable because they hide clues and collectibles that can only be collected after unlocking the right skill or equipment, such as a crossbow with corrosive darts capable of dissolving some obstacle that block your path. So, similar to Saints and Sinners, but with a story that's the core of the game. But what about Dishonored? Well, the skill you unlock will grant you powers that will allow you to engage frenetic, fast-paced combat using teleports, shockwaves, kinetic powers, blood magic, and much more. Additionally, thanks to the vertical spatial design of the game's environment, you can choose whether to approach enemies by sneaking through water's channel, from dark hallways, or from rooftops and ledges. So there is a range of combat and rapid and various approaches to explore, allowing you to indulge in bloody, ruthless combos.
Unfortunately, you'll have to make do with me.
I have played the Quest 3 and the PSVR 2 version, and thanks Fast Travel Games for providing early access, allowing me to present this review today with in-depth knowledge of both versions of the game. I have not installed the game on Quest 2 yet, but from what I've seen on Quest 3, I doubt that Justice can offer a smooth experience on Quest 2. The light reflection on the water surface, lights glare, the number of buildings, environmental elements, characters' models. In short, Vampire The Masquerade Justice is filled with on-screen elements, many of which are highly detailed compared to what we were used to on Quest 2. I have to say that I noticed some occasional stutters, albeit very rare cases, even on Quest 3. So I can't understand how all these can be supported on Quest 2. Of course, I will verify and compare the two versions, but as for now, the Quest 3 version presents a game so loaded in models and effect that it's challenging to remember that this is a standalone game and it's not running on a PC. The PSVR 2 version do not differ so much from the Quest 3 version, likely because the developers created Justice with a standalone version in mind, which was then supplemented with more pronounced lighting effect, detailed textures on characters' models, and enhance the bloom effect, all while maintaining a pleasant and consistent frame rate, even during the most frantic combat phases with many on-screen effects. The Quest 3 version, though, offers an impressive graphics quality due to the wealth of elements and lighting effects. However, in dark areas, the image can become quite noisy. The effect when characters die is impressive, featuring a ragdoll effect that only kicks in after a few seconds of death animation, making the body appear in agony. However, you might often see bodies move almost erratically due to the collision with objects at the moment of death.
But I'm not sure that's important to anyone anymore.
Interaction with the environments are not perfect. The opening of doors and drawers is very convincing, but it's the movement of the arms and hands that doesn't always convince. Sometimes the elbow angle takes strange positions. Other times the shoulders are visible to the player when they enter their field of view. Taking some objects could leave the hands stuck in walls, tables or other surfaces for seconds. Environmental collisions are present, so hands won't penetrate walls, characters or other objects, even though clipping issues will be prevalent. You can pick a large number of objects in the environment, which can be thrown at enemies to disorient or distract them, giving you a chance to pass unnoticed. But the most immersive element in Vampire The Masquerade Justice, however, is the atmosphere created by the story. You will continuously feel like a real vampire hunting for your prey, thanks to the incredible range of skills and equipment at your disposal for a tactical advantage over your enemies. While the game offers countless possibilities, the control placement makes the choice of the right weapon or the right skill quick and intuitive. One button opens the weapon menu, another opens the ability menu, and once you've selected both, one button press on the other controllers use them. The 360-degree spatiality and versatile action make this game one of the most rewarding to play in VR. It features fluid and well-distributed movement mechanics, such as replacing traditional jump with teleportation, which can also be used as an ability to strike enemies from the same level or from above. Furthermore, the use of the wrist crossbow, where you first create a dart using your blood, then insert into the crossbow, load, and finally shoot the arrow. The ability to turn invisible, to track your prey's heartbeat, or follow the scent of their blood, crawl up to them, grab them, and physically bring your mouth to their neck to bite and feed. And there is even a melee combat mechanic to help you out in dire situations. It's a pity that you cannot drag bodies to hide them, which would have made me feel more involved in trying to remain hidden. The choice of a stealth approach, though, is because of the poor AI of the enemies, who will do nothing but chase you, attack you and shoot you. However, as soon as you manage to escape and disappear, they will remain dumbfounded for a few seconds before returning to their post as if nothing happened. Sometimes you might even face an enemy in combat without their comrade noticing, even though they are very close. It's a real shame, and it significantly reduced the immersion and disrupted the pacing.
I, like you, am a child of Hakim.
Vampire The Masquerade Justice has an incredible long duration, because in addition to the main story lasting about 6 hours, there is a long list of collectibles and documents to collect. What increased the judgment of longevity, not just in terms of duration of the game from the beginning to its end, but also in terms of replayability and things to do during gameplay, is that each area is replayable. This is not only for the purpose of finding all collectibles, documents or collecting medallions, but also for tackling various maps to reach new points that were previously inaccessible thanks to the new unlocked abilities. A good duration for those who want to play only the story, but it's plenty of things to do for collectibles and secondary quest lovers present in every mission. Completing these tasks will earn you extra experience point.
There was a Nosferatu waiting for me there. The low ground.
From the moment I started Vampire The Masquerade Justice, I immediately felt like I was inside one of the chapter of the saga. This VR chapter managed to convey same emotions and the nerd sensation that everyone who has played the series since its inception knows all too well. The representation of Venice in this game continuously make you feel in control of the situation thanks to the level design that offer countless possibilities and alternative approaches to the game to solving the various problems. The story is masterful and perfectly aligned with the original lore, and the references to the characteristic traits of the plot are very incorporated. Fast travel games didn't make any mistakes, making this game their flagship among precious gems brought to our headset by this developer team. Among the pros, there is a graphic quality designed to offer great visual impact and a high number of detail and models, excellently leveraging the potential of the Quest 3. Impeccable gameplay with numerous approaches to suit all type of players and perfectly respect the tradition of the Vampire the Masquerade saga, standing as another great chapter of this incredible series. Among the cons, some interaction need to be improved. The absence of enemy intelligence and a lack of variety in the environment is noticed after few hours. Now, I leave you to a few seconds of gameplay of Vampire the Masquerade Justice. Like, subscribe and keep following. Oh, and remember that vampires don't exist.
What the f...